everyone. We're back with another episode of Two Straws.
Oh, well.
I never know which way to do it because I'm
There,
muting,
I think you
and
got
you're not.
it.
All right. Today we have Ya Boi Eryk Anders coming on the show. Let me bring him in right now. Hey, Eryk.
Hey, what's going on, guys?
Oh my God.
We both have
Everybody.
our 3 o'clock alarm went off. Hey, how's it
I don't have
going?
many alarms.
Gotta be punctual.
Exactly.
So you have a big fight coming up on March 2nd against Jamie Pickett. How is training going?
It's going really well. I was really excited. I thought it was going to be in Saudi Arabia, but for whatever reason, they moved it to Vegas. So, you go from like
Did
thinking
they
it's going
say
to be
what
in front of.
happened?
I have no idea. I don't really ask questions for. I just be like, all right. But you go from thinking it's going to be in front of like, fans in another country and whatever, and then it's at the Apex. So it's like, but
Does
at the
that
same
change
time, like
anything for
it's.
you?
Not really. I prefer to fight in front of an audience. Like it's cool to hear like the noises and the energy from the crowd and stuff like that. But at the same time, I really like fighting in that small cage because it's a fighter's cage. There's not so much like running around and moving so much. So it like entices the fight. I think like they had a statistic like in that smaller cage, like there's 1/3 more finishes than it is out in the bigger cage. So, for a puncher like myself, I prefer the small cage.
Nice. It does like kind of suck the energy out of winning or losing or anything, even just to walk out when there's no crowd though, right? Like
Yeah.
it's
There's like no energy. It's like
yeah.
I don't know how to explain it. It's just kind of like it's quiet. There's like 2 or 3 people
Mhm.
there, like yay, and you hear the little, but there's like no roar. You know what I mean?
Mhm, mhm. It's like,
You,
being a comedian in an empty, like, bar or something. You'd say something funny, a couple of people laugh. That's it.
yeah, and then but the thing I really do like about it though, like as a spectator, like watching it on TV, you can hear all the like the what I'm saying, all
Mm,
like the grunts and the oohs and the impact of the strikes and stuff like that. So I guess
yeah.
it's got its pros and cons.
Well, I'm excited about hearing your cracks and slaps and punches in that little cage because man, you have some nasty knockouts. Like just going back, I remember we were on the same card in Florida and you got that really nice you just dropped him and kind of got the TK finish on Cal Dacus. And in the apex you would have heard every hammer fist, every punch landed when he was on the ground.
Yeah, again, like the energy of the crowd kind of like it entices the fight. I think like it makes the fighters want to fight more, but at the same time, like they have more room to like more space to like bounce around and be apart. Whereas where it's kind of claustrophobic, that little cage, so
Yeah.
perfect ideal for me, ideal situation to take that small cage and have it in like a public arena.
Mm.
So you have a lot of big finishes. What is your most memorable experience in the octagon, or even before you got to the UFC?
Um, shoot. I don't know. Probably my favorite like knockout of mine is like I soccer kicked the dude, and
Ah.
now they kind of like changed the rule because at the time the rule was if one hand was down, they were still up, so they had to have like
Mm.
both hands on the ground. So everybody was like, "Oh, that's illegal," but at the time it wasn't. Like, but very shortly thereafter that, they were like, "Yo, if anything other than his feet are on the ground, then he's grounded." And I think they're going to try and change that rule now again, which I think they should do because why should I lose offense or opportunities and I'm in a dominant position?
Mhm.
Why is he safer, like on the ground? That doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah.
I did see that same interview with I think it was the Nevada State Athletic Commission. And it does get a little bit confusing when you go back and forth, and different commissions have different rules. Um, besides that rule, are there any other rules that you think need to be changed?
I think, the rules are like pretty standard, you know what I mean? Like, I guess they're called like gentleman rules, like no fish hooking, eye gouging, oil checking, twisting fingers and stuff like that. I think that's fair, but I think that's the major rule that should be changed. And maybe I think maybe they should do like yellow cards for like stalling and stuff. Like if they feel like somebody's like
Oh,
fleeing the fight, instead of like warnings, you get one warning and then your next offense is a point. You know what I mean? You see
have
people
you
like multiple, like, groin strikes or whatever. It's like, yo, why is he getting so many warnings? Like, this is going to influence the way I fight. He keeps kicking me in the nuts, so should be
kicking
punished.
you and your boys?
Yeah.
Have you ever fought anyone who you felt deserved a yellow card?
Well, my last fight, he kicked me twice in the groin, I think, like in the same round. So, you know, at the end of the day, like, does it really matter in that particular fight? Not really, because I lost anyways. But like in a close fight, that's gonna make a difference. So, um, but then the ref came to me afterwards, and he was like, "I didn't take a point because I feel like you were taking a rest." And I'm like, "Hold up, dude. That's not the way that works, dude. You
Wait, who was
thought
the ref?
a Canadian dude, Jalen, bald-headed brown guy.
Bald-headed brown guy.
He always
Was it?
reps in Canada. He repped us in that Toronto card too.
Huh.
But I was arguing it with him backstage. I was like, that doesn't make sense because there was enough of a strike for you, the referee, to stop the fight. So clearly you thought it influenced the fight. And the rule says I get 5 minutes. It's not up to you to determine how hard. Like, it's not up to you to determine how much that strike affected me. You know what I mean?
Huh.
This is like right after
Yeah.
my fight. And I was like, man, you know what, dude? Just
I've
leave me
never
alone.
heard that being an issue. Like you use the rest as a rest. You recover in however you want, and I can imagine getting kicked in the nuts will make you lose your breath a bit. You need some time to recover everything,
It
not
don't feel so
just
good.
yeah, that's strange. I think I know who you're talking about. I have a photo of him. I just don't know his name. But yeah, that's a really weird thing to say.
Yeah, and like especially like right after a fight, like dude, I don't even want to talk about the fight at this moment. And that you can come to me and tell me that, oh, I didn't penalize this guy for that because I'm like, I don't know that that's how that's supposed to happen, but whatever, dude.
It- it's almost like he felt bad about it, so he felt the need to come up to you even though
But just
you
live,
weren't bringing it
just
up.
live with your decision. It is what it is.
Mhm.
I wasn't bitching. I didn't complain. I didn't say nothing about it. He came up to me and was like, "This is what's up," and I'm just like, "All right."
Interesting.
It's a weird justification after the fact. Sounds like it's unnecessary, but was
So
it
we
was
need
it
to
the
give the
5 minute
ref a
rule at
yellow
that
card.
point?
Was it what?
Was there a 5 minute rule at that point when you were fighting? Was that already
Yeah,
a
yeah.
rule?
I took my time. It was a grueling pace. Did I need as much time as I took? No, but I
Hey,
shouldn't be
that's your
So
penalized
he
for
choice.
was
his.
right.
But I'm saying no, I shouldn't be penalized for his foul. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? He committed the foul.
Fair enough.
How does he know how much I'm hurt? Maybe I got a good poker face. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
I don't want him to see that I'm hurt. I'm gonna take a few. Yeah, if you commit a foul, you know what I'm saying, especially at the pace that we fought at. Yeah, I'm gonna take a few extra. You know what I mean? It's his fault. He did it. I didn't need him. You know what I mean?
Yeah, nobody
So,
told him to kick you in the boys, so it's definitely your chance to take as much rest as you want. I've never heard that being an issue. I've always thought that when you get fouled, you take as much time as you want, no matter what. It doesn't matter if you've recovered yet or not. Like you wait until you're comfortable to continue. And I've never heard of that
Yeah.
being part of like the referee's job, deciding whether or not you were getting back on your feet fast enough. Like that's kind of strange. We got to ask Herb Deem about that because I think that's something that needs to be investigated.
Yeah, I mean, it's after the fact now. It's not like I'm asking
I know
anybody
you're
to,
not trying to cause
you
trouble,
know,
but
so,
I'm annoyed by that for you.
yeah, I mean, it is what it is. I was just like, why? Never has a ref ever like came up to me and like after the fight and been like, yo, I did this because of that.
Hmm.
You know.
That's really strange.
It really is. That's kind of interesting.
Should have soccer kicked him.
Yeah, I should have kicked him in the nuts and asked him
Should
how
have
much
kicked
time.
him
Yeah,
in the nuts. Exactly.
nice little sock kick to the nuts. We're like, all right, now
Show him
you
how much time
recover.
he needs.
Yeah,
Yeah,
how much time do you need?
the
Exactly.
clock is on. uh,
Oh man. So I've heard you say that you have only a few more fights in you. What made you make that decision? And does it change how you prepare for your fights at all?
No, I mean I prepare just like it's my first fight. You know what I mean? But I think 4 more fights puts me at 20 UFC fights. I think that's like a good number. Not many people get there, so it's like a good milestone for myself to, you know, to achieve and reach. And then, I'll be 37 in April, so how much longer can I do this anyways? You know what I mean? I don't want to be one of those guys that has like a decent career and then all of a sudden they just, they get knocked out all the time or whatever. So, I still have some youth left. I'm still durable. My brain is still intact. And then I can go do other things instead of fighting. Like, I don't have to do this. You know what I mean? I just do it because I like it. But at the same time, like, all good things come to an end. So, you know, it'd be time to do the next venture in life, I guess.
I saw you hitting up the grappling scene. Is that part of your other things kind of plan, or are you just doing that to stay?
Nah, dude, I love grappling and jujitsu. It's like what I started with when I started MMA. But
Okay.
for the longest time, I didn't want to do it so much because I didn't want to like get hurt. You know, um, doing something for free, and
Hmm.
when I could make money fighting. You know what I mean? But now they're putting money behind this stuff, so I'm just like, I'll go out there and get paid. And it's not even that dangerous. You know what I mean? Like I could get hurt doing the same thing training. You know what I mean? So why not go out there and get some live reps and kind of while I have like a name as a fighter, I can kind of like make a name, uh, doing jiu-jitsu tournaments and grappling tournaments and things like that. So I just, I think it's just like another like avenue to explore.
Yeah, I used to feel the same exact way. Like I was scared, especially because I started as a striker. I was scared to do jiu-jitsu tournaments because I might get hurt because people know who I am. So if I lose, it felt more embarrassing than if I was just some person nobody knew. And then I just started competing more frequently, and it actually helps a lot with the nerves. It helps a lot with learning how to fight someone who's like trying not to let you win really hard as opposed to the
Yeah.
gym.
But I think it has like the opposite effect. I thought like people are like, oh, it's like, oh God, I got to grapple this UFC fighter. And I'm just like, dude, what? Like, I'm not Charles Oliveira, dude. I've had 24 professional fights, maybe one submission. It's just because the dude didn't even
Hmm.
want to fight in the first place. It was like my third or fourth like professional fight. You know what I mean? So it's not like what I'm saying, I'm a grappling wizard or a submission machine or nothing like that. You know what I mean? So if I was like if all I did was jujitsu, maybe I want to grapple a fighter because I spent all my time doing jujitsu, just jujitsu or wrestling or
Hmm.
whatever it is. This guy has to train everything all the time. So how much time is he really putting into just grappling? Especially somebody like me, like I'm not really hunting for takedowns. Like I'm looking to throw hands when I fight. So, you know, I don't know, people's like mindset behind things. Like even my son, like he just won like an eighth grade wrestling tournament for
Aw.
whatever, and everybody's like, they're kind of gunning for him. He's like, oh, and making excuses why their kid lost. his dad's a UFC fighter. And I'm like, what does that have to do with anything? If your kids suck, just let your kids suck and let them have fun. You know what I mean? Me being a fighter ain't got nothing to do with his performance. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's
And
like, have you seen my fights? Like, I like to
yeah,
hit people.
yeah. Like, yo, if your kid, like, if my kid loses, I'm not making no excuses for him. You know what I mean? Like, yo, sometimes somebody just better than you, and that's just what it is. And that's the fact of the matter. You know what I'm saying? It's not because his dad was an All-American in college. Like, it doesn't, you know what I'm saying? My kid got put in his own work. He don't get credit for what I did. You feel me?
Right.
That's what I be telling him anyway. So I just wish that, other parents felt the same. It's weird to me. Like, why you make excuses for your kid?
No, there's a lot of people out there living vicariously through their kids because they never competed at a high level or at all. So it's their opportunity
Yeah,
to
it's
feel
usually
like
the ones who
they're
never
doing
competed
something.
at all who are the weird ones. Like this lady, she came up to me and was like, "Yo, my kid hasn't lost in 2 years," and I was like, "Okay, cool." And then she just kept going on and on about how great her kid was, and she was like, "Your kid and my kid," and I don't even know what the bracket looks like. I just, you know what I mean? I'm just there waiting for him to go. So he's like, "Oh, your kid is my kids at the opposite end of the bracket, so if they win out, they'll face each other." I'm like, "Cool," you know what I mean? And then, of course, you know what I'm saying, my kid thrashed her kid, and, she came up and was like, they're going to meet again at state. And, I was like, hold on, lady, who is we, first and foremost? They, the two boys will, see each other next week, but you don't wrestle. So what is this we that you're talking about? You know what I'm saying? So I don't understand, like, this lady, she's just over the top though. Like, it's not always like that, but like I was like, yo, lady, get away from my kid right now.
She's excited. She's like, oh, he has a rival. Now it's gonna be this
Nah,
big
because my
thing.
kid is 2-0 against this kid. That's not a rivalry.
Oh,
Just because your kid is
Oh.
next best don't mean that it's a rivalry. You feel me? Like if they were like 1-1 or it was close. My kid majored him twice. Beat
Oh
him by 8
man.
the first time and 10 the second time. So that's an ass whooping.
no
That's
wonder
not a
she's
rivalry.
upset.
Well, he should
She
be
can't
upset. I'm like,
handle
yo,
it.
where's your kid? Where's your kid? Why are you talking to mom? Where's your kid? Oh, he don't like talking after he loses. All right, mom. So fucking go talk to your kid and let me, you know what I'm saying, talk to mine.
So obviously this is a problem that she has because he already knows, like, oh, here she go again. And he's just like,
Yeah.
go somewhere
Well,
else.
the second time it was just like a random meet. The first time my kid won. Then the second time was for, I don't know if they call it state or maybe it's just for like Birmingham and like the surrounding areas or whatever. But our kid beat him again. And, before I seen her in like in the concession line before. And she was like, they told me I shouldn't be talking to you. And I'm like, here we are.
Who's they?
Like the coaches and the other wrestlers was like, yo, just leave him alone. You know what I mean? And I'm like, well, because the coach of that school used to train at the gym that I train at. So, like, I know him. And then he was like, yo, she's nuts. She's crazy. I'm like, I see. And she was like, they told me that, I'm not supposed to talk to you. And I'm like, so here we are talking to each other. Are you talking to me? Because I don't want to be here. I don't want to talk to you. I'm just
She
trying to be
sounds
nice.
great. I think you should like
Sounds like she's fun at parent teacher meetings.
yes. You should definitely put her on the phone tree. Carpool with her to wrestling meets.
Hell no. Now, thank God she goes to it. Like, they're way out there. They live like 45 minutes away.
Okay.
That school
You,
district anyway. So.
you're kind of spoiled though because you're a lifelong athlete. So you've learned a lot of things that a lot of parents who are going with their kids for the first time don't really know.
Well, I told my kid the same thing. Like, after that, I was like, I'm so happy that for the most part, like I've lived out my athletic dreams outside of like actually playing like professional football. But then I found fighting and I do that professionally now. So it's like I never like I just wanted to assure him, it's like, yo, you don't have to do none of this stuff, this football stuff, this wrestling stuff, because I did it and I like it. Do it because you like it. You know what I'm saying? If you want to play chess, you want to be in the band, you want to be on the math team, the debate, go for it. You do what makes you happy. Like, I already did what made me happy. So you win in whatever. I'll be happy that you're happy. I'll be happy that you're successful. I'll be happy that you won or whatever. But it's not going to like make me sad that my kid doesn't want to, wrestle or play football or, whatever. You know what I'm saying? He got his own life to live. So,
Aw.
but still, I think even if I didn't play sports, I don't think that I would be like that. like if I just played high school football or whatever, I don't think that I would like put so much pressure on my kids to. When they were little, they used to go to like this wrestling club, and there'd be like a lobby with tables and chairs and stuff for the parents to sit, and there'd be a big window, like a big glass window, and then the kids would be on the other side wrestling. Dude, I would hear some of these dads like, talk about how, they're, it's like, with the same regular UFC shit, like just get up or, man, that kid's really, I'm just like, dude, listen, do you know what that's like? Do you know what that's like to have somebody like, your size, hold you down against your, like, I don't want to sound like, whatever, against your will, like, 'cause, the kid don't want to be on his back, you know what I'm saying?
I mean, it's
Of course you don't want
traumatizing
that.
for a lot of guys.
Yeah, well, I'm just like, of course you don't. Otherwise, you wouldn't be talking to your kid like that or talking about your kid
Mhm.
like that. You know what I'm saying? So, I'm just happy that I'm not like that. But I don't think I would let myself be like that.
It's definitely a personality type, right? The people who
Sure.
just talk without thinking, they're just saying whatever, and the other people who actually think, oh, maybe it's harder than it looks. And
Yeah,
then,
just go out and do it. Just go try. I think that's
yeah.
like my kid, like he's starting to play baseball. I've never played baseball. So we went to the batting cage and, I got some swings in. Dude, that shit hurts to hit the ball. Like if you hit the ball, like in the wrong part of the bat, the shit vibrates down the bat and it hurts. And I'm just like, oh, shit, I
Ah,
never thought about that. I've never played baseball, so I was like, I never thought about that. So it's like maybe if you don't, what I'm saying, whatever, do well. I was like, oh, at least I have an idea of what it is. You know what I mean?
right.
How did you end up finding MMA?
Well, uh, long story short, I thought that I would like, I kind of seen like the light dwindling. Like I didn't get drafted, got picked up in free agency with the Cleveland Browns, got cut during training camp, went to Canada, got cut, played a year of arena ball. And, like during that year, like I only went to go play arena ball because it was kind of like sold to me. Like, yo, here's your chance to like keep playing ball. Like, you hear this guy Kurt Warner, he played arena football, then got picked up by the St. Louis Rams, fucking Super Bowl MVP, blah 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 blah. I was like, oh, okay, cool. So I went and played and quickly saw that this wasn't gonna. Nobody's here watching this. Like there were fans in the sense, but there's like no NFL teams. Like, they're
Mm,
getting like. Why would they take I think maybe like 23, 24, a 24-year-old a year out of college playing arena ball when they can take a 21, 22-year-old kid, a stud, right out of college? You know what I mean? Of
mm.
course, they're going to go with the younger guy with, who's hot, who just played against like the highest level of competition outside of the NFL. So I was just, just started kind of self-destructing, for lack of a better term. Like, I was always either drunk or on pills or high on something. And, so then the season ends, I come back to Alabama and like the same behavior continues, fighting all the time, just not living a good lifestyle. And I already had my son at the time. So I just kind of figured like, something's going to happen to you. Someone's going to like hit you with a bottle. Like, you know what I'm saying? You're going to get hurt or end up in jail. So I just figured I just needed another place to like put my energy. And then I came back to Alabama and thought that I would have like a nice job. Someone would just say, hey, he played for Alabama. You know what I'm saying? Hook him up. But that didn't happen either. So I just, I like realized like, yo, you can't keep doing all this. So I just needed something to like alleviate stress. So I went and did some jujitsu. It was all right. You know what I mean? I hated the gi when I throw that motherfucker out the window every time. I'm like, yo, how am I getting choked out with my own clothes?
Same.
Like,
Yeah.
I hate this gi.
Same experience.
But at the same time, like, I found myself not drinking as much. I found myself, being somewhere and doing something other, like occupying my time. Like, how can I, be drinking and fighting and popping pills if I'm in the gym training? So, and then I realized, like, for these, 2 hours or whatever, I don't have any problems. I don't have any issues. Like, I don't even think about, life. It's just like, just training. And I seen some dudes sparring, and I was like, I was one of those guys, like, I could fight. I had never, like, trained at all, but, I'd fight, like, every weekend, like, just, in a street or in a bar or wherever. And I still had, like, a bit of an ego, you know what I mean? Which jiu-jitsu will quickly eradicate. And then, like, a mutual friend was like, I got a friend who does MMA. Here's his number. And I was like, cool. And it was Walt Harris. And he was like, yeah, come down to the gym, come train, whatever. And I was like, all right. So I show up, and dude, all they did at this gym was spar, dude. The coach had a pill problem. You know what I mean?
Oh no.
But like the scene wasn't, the MMA scene. It wasn't then what it is now. Like, the coach now, like, he's a great guy. He doesn't have issues. He runs a successful business. Like, he's the kind of person you want to be around because, you know what I'm saying, all the stuff that he does, like, you know what I'm saying, when you're around, like, people who, you're going to do what the people who you're around do. You know what I mean? Like, he's a successful person, so he's going to, like, lead you to success, whether it be, like, business or fighting or whatever it is. But this guy, like, he had a pill problem. So how could he possibly coach anybody? This dude would be, like, nodding off, like, feeding mitts, you know what I mean?
Oh man.
But anyways, like, I go to the gym, and he was like, yo, can you fight? And I was like, duh, like, of course, look at me. And dude, I didn't have a mouthpiece, I didn't have a cup. He was like, yo, go spar. Well, and I legit thought that I was gonna beat Walt up, dude. I thought that I was gonna beat Walt's ass. And Walt, I didn't say anything. It was just like, in my head. I didn't go in there like, yo, I'm gonna fuck you up. I'm gonna fuck you up. I'm gonna beat your ass. It wasn't like that. And I was like, yeah, I can fight. But in my head, I was like, duh. We spar him out loud. I was like, yeah, sure. But in my head, I was like, I'm gonna beat his ass. It did not happen like that at all.
Oh no.
I found out, like, yo, like, I suck. Like, I can't fight. Dude. And I 2 seconds into the fight, I was, like, they were into a sparring round, not even like a real fight. This is a controlled environment. I was tired as shit, and then he, like, Walt's a big dude, man. He's like 6'4", probably 260, 270. And he and he's really fast. He's got really, like, good technique with his boxing, just naturally, because that coach didn't teach him nothing. And it's just not possible. I'm not like, anyways. Yeah, so I, like, realized, I was like, dude, there's levels to this, and you're, like, at the very bottom rung at the ladder. You suck, dude. But it kind of, like, turned me on because it, like, exposed me to myself. I was like, dude, you can't hide in this shit. And I always liked individual sports more than team sports because I hate, like, relying on somebody to catch a football or to, whatever, make a basket or whatever it is. So I was just like, when do y'all train again? All right, I'll be back. And I just kept showing up. Then I fought, like, a month after I started training. Somebody called me and was like, yo, you want to fight? I was like, all right. So I did a boxing match. And then, again, my coach didn't even show up to the fight. So I'm in this, this bar in Huntsville, Alabama, like, excuse me, do you mind, like, pulling out the stool for me in between Came with two
Oh,
just random
man.
people I didn't even know. And I did a boxing match and MMA fight. Lost the boxing match, did a split decision, and then knocked the dude out in MMA. Like I dropped him, got on him, and just laid it on him. And I was like, dude, that is what I want to do. And so
Mhm.
I've pretty much been doing that ever since.
You have a very MMA movie origin story. Like
Right?
like
There's a lot of fighters who start like that. There's a lot of fighters who maybe like
there is.
maybe not like college football, but like they were a high school athlete, or maybe they weren't athlete at all, and then they were on like bad on drugs or whatever, and they saw MMA as like that kind of like a form of rehab for them. Because like I said, when you're training, like dude, every day I train. Every time I train, it's like, bills aren't on my mind. Like my kids aren't on my mind. Like life, I'm not thinking about nothing. Excuse me, nothing but training. So it's like therapeutic in a sense. You know what I mean? And so I think that people find that as they start training, and then there's like, they're competitive by nature, or just have that certain grit to them that maybe someone's like, hey, you should fight, or maybe they walk in there like angry and want to fight anyway. So like for whatever reason, they actually choose to fight. Like just the training alone, I think a lot of people get into it because of something else. You know what I mean?
And there's nothing like being a high school or college athlete that makes you feel like livestock. Whenever I hear people talking about retiring because they were too old at 24, it just blows my mind because,
Yeah.
in MMA, I threw my first punch in a class at 24. So it's kind of funny
Me
how
too. I think I was 24 as well.
yeah, so it's funny how different it is age-wise. You hit your prime a little later in life. You don't have to worry about the young gun coming up every time just because it takes so long to master everything, like master jiu-jitsu, master boxing, all that stuff.
Well, also, I think like with most sports, especially like collegiate sports that lead to like professional sports, like college basketball, football, baseball, or whatever, you're on a clock. So if you're not good enough by the time your eligibility runs out, that's it. You know what I'm saying? What
Mhm.
are you gonna do? Like, I guess some guys go to Europe and whatever, and there are guys who have gone from like arena football or like Europe to, come over here and do well in like the NFL, NBA, and baseball. There's so many like levels and leagues. So, but the reality is usually if you don't make it like out of that first year out of college, then that's at least for football, anyways. That's it. That ship has sailed. They're not looking for guys who haven't played at a high level in 2 years. You know what I mean? So MMA, the math is simple. If you go out there, you win, you're exciting, you're marketable. Now you're gonna make your way up. You know what I mean? So luckily for me, like I had like a good like I guess background. Like I brought the whole Alabama football thing. Like they really marketed that when I first got into the UFC, and I was knocking people out. I think when I made it to the UFC, I was 8-0 with like 6 knockouts, a submission, and just one decision. So, when they put that little thing on the screen when you're getting your, the Vaseline, like that sounds good to like reach like, oh God, he's 8-0 with 6
Yeah.
knockouts. They may be TKOs. People don't know like the difference between like you know what I mean? But they all just write it down. Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Semantics.
Like they just write it down.
No
So I
matter.
say it's like, oh man, that guy, he's probably exciting to watch. And then, you go out there and knock somebody out. It's like, oh dude, put the machine behind him or whatever.
Yeah. So with this next fight coming up, you actually called him out after your last knockout. Is there anything that you saw in him? Was there a reason you wanted this guy, or was it just convenient at the time because he lost an opponent?
Um, I'm not really looking to fight, the Paulo Costas and the Adesanyas and the Marvin Vittorias of the division for what? I'm only gonna fight 4 more times. I'm gonna get paid when I'm gonna get paid. So why would I? Why I'm not. I'm saying I'm not fighting for the belt. I'm fighting for me and to like entertain fans. So what would be an entertaining fight? You know, two big guys going out there and throwing hands. So, you know, I think it's a fun fight for the fans to watch, an enticing fight for people to watch. Just like the stylistically, and you know, he's not a world beater himself. You know, whatever. I think it'd just be a good fight, but not necessarily the toughest fight. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not
And
leaving
that's
out
why
of
you,
there on a fucking with my face all smashed up. You know what
yeah.
I mean?
You're like, you're over that.
Yeah, I go fight one of those other guys, like a top 10 guy, top 5 guy, who everybody calls out. You know what I mean?
Mm.
But and honestly, realistically, like, do you think if I go out there and call out like a top 10 guy, they're gonna be like, "What are you doing, dude? You're not in the top 15. You're not." You know what I mean? They're not like thinking how I'm thinking. So I'm just trying to get in, make my money, and peace out.
You kind of having like a Kevin Holland approach to it. Like he said recently, and it made news that he's not really trying to fight for the belt. If it happens, great, but he's just trying to put on entertaining fights and just make money.
And that's it, you know. But at the same time, like, that motherfucker fighting like Chimaev, and
It's like you're doing it wrong.
you know, yeah, nah, he doing it wrong. You know what I mean? And now he's fighting Michael Venom Page. You know, so he's not
Yeah.
like, I understand what he's saying, but his formula is a little bit different than mine. You know what I'm saying? And you know,
It's
obviously, it has to
okay.
be that way for him, 'cause he's probably a little bit more marketable and a little bit more popular of a fighter, so he has to fight, you know, more popular fighters like MVP. That's probably why they match those guys up, you know. So me, I'm just, you know, looking to keep my head down, make my money, and disappear into the night, you know.
That's so
Hey, it's
funny.
okay to do things on your terms.
Yeah, you know. I've taken a lot of short notice fights for the UFC, you know. So it took some very unfavorable matchups at times, and so I think like the UFC, like, kind of the powers that be are kind of like, all right, you know what I'm saying? We'll let you do your thing these last few fights because like you've been a company guy, you know, your whole career, you know. So, you know, I scratch their back, they scratch mine, you know.
We should
Yep,
all
I
be
hear.
so lucky.
I hear that. Sometimes that's the best thing you can do when you're not fighting for a title anytime soon, if ever. Which is, 98% of the UFC roster, they're never going to fight for the title. Just going in and being exciting. That's the best thing you could do, and the company appreciates that. And you've definitely done that every time you get out there.
Yeah, you know, it's not like I go out there and I just think to myself, be entertaining, be entertaining, be entertaining. I just go out there and fight, and it just so happens that the way I fight, people like it. You know what I'm saying? So it's
It
like,
looks cool.
yeah. So it's like
Uh,
lucky me, you know.
Well, thank you so much for your time, Eryk. We don't want to hold you up too much longer, but we really appreciate it. And best of luck in your next outing. And we look forward to celebrating you afterwards.
I appreciate it. Thank you guys for having me.
Yeah, thanks for hopping on. Good luck. Have fun out there. Don't
Appreciate
be
it.
too entertaining. Soccer kick him.
All right. Bye.
Yeah, take care.
All right. Yeah. I had no idea that he went through all that coming in.
Yeah.
Before
Yeah.
going
He has
in,
a
I mean, with
crazy
the drugs
story.
and the
Yeah. And I mean, I think there's a lot of MMA fighters that can relate. I know I can relate on that on a level. You know, we've talked about it before. MMA definitely saves lives, changes lives for the better. And I love hearing stories like that. I also
Yeah.
love his mentality for, fighting and just like saying what he wants and doing what he wants and ending his career on his terms. I think that it's great that he can call his shots and, just be out there and put on an entertaining fights. And he has, an end an end date in mind.
And this guy, he's about the same age. He has, similar performances where he's won some, lost some, and I think it's a really good matchup for him. I didn't want to get it too deep into the P's and Q's, but I think it's a really awesome matchup for him, and I'm excited to see how it all plays out in a few weeks.
Yeah, definitely going to be entertaining at the very least.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. All right. Well, another interview in the books.
Everybody, thank you for liking, subscribing, and following us on all of our media outlets, and we will see you next time.
Yeah, let us know who you want to see in the comments.
Put them in the comments.
And we will hit them up, and hopefully they return our calls.
Bye.
Bye.